This is a termination video of Cat 6A shielded jacks terminated onto Cat 7 marine cable, which is S/FTP. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a termination on both ends of the cable. These are the tools involved: stripper, your termination tool, EGJT, flush cutters, CWST, and the screwdriver. By the way, that's CJAST for the stripper. So first step, you want to take your cable and your stripper, set it to the appropriate depth. 1 is more shallow and 9 would be the deepest. I'm going to start with 7. We want to strip off about 1.5 inches. As a guide, it's a good idea to put it up to a certain spot on the stripper. So I'm going to use just the top of this circle here. Stop it right there on my finger and go once around. Bend and break it and slide off the jacket. Next, you have the braiding. Braiding you want to pull down and trim off with the flush cutters. So just go around and trim off most of the braiding, leaving a little bit hanging over. You want about 1/4 inch left of length. Okay. Now the key step for the shielded marine cable, Cat 7, is to pull it straight down over the jacket. The next step would be to separate the pairs from each other and unwrap the foil. The individual foils you're going to end up cutting off. Take your flush cutters, cut off each foil. Now you want to orient the pairs in a nice square fashion. It's a good idea to cut off 2 pairs out of the 4. That'll allow you to insert 2 pairs at a time into the wire cap. So what we want to do is we want to match up the label, the front, the routing label, to the wire pairs on the cable. If you notice, there's a row on the bottom and the top. One's the front row, one's the R's. R stands for the rear row. That is a top view of the wire cap. So your front is on the bottom and your rear is on the top. Another good thing to note is that the white is always on the left. So what we want to do is we want to rotate the cable so it matches. All we want to focus on is the brown and the blue. Rotate the cable until it matches by putting it on the left. And you see we've done that. This is by the instructions. You can tell it's cable in 1. What we mean is it routes directly to the wire cap. So we want to cut off 2 of the pairs, cut off about 1/4 inch or so of 2 of the pairs to allow you to feed in 2 at a time. Once you do that, you want to orient them in the right proper fashion so it's easy to insert. Take your wire cap. Make sure that the strain relief collar is all the way up. So you squeeze the 2 levers in and pull it up. That's so you have the maximum clearance to insert it. Take your cable and insert 2 at a time. And you might find it easier to rotate the cable a little bit to allow the pairs to fit into their spots. Now you want to pull the wire cap firmly down to the wire or to the cable jacket while holding it with one hand. Bend the piers down over the side of each. This will set you up for your next step with the one feature of the termination tool. So insert the slot, the wire cap into the square recess with the label down, and come over, and you'll notice that the strain relief collar is going to mesh with a tab that's sticking out. So give it a firm grasp, and that'll fully engage the strain relief collar to the cable. So you should do a quick test after that. Rotate the wire cap, and it should be firmly engaged. Now we're ready to go. We can go ahead and start routing our wires. So straighten out the wires. And remember that white is always on the left. So if we look at our mapping in the front row, the one we look at is brown. So white, then brown. So we pull it over the spike in one motion. What else do we have in the front? B wiring is green. So green goes on the right. We have to do one at a time. So we got green. In the rear, we see we have blue on the left. So we pull the blue down over the spike. And then the last one is, for B wiring once again, is the orange. So I recommend, at this point, to double check that you route everything correctly. So looking at the solid colors, brown in the front on the left, blue in the rear on the left, green in on the front and the right, and orange in the rear on the right. Once we're sure of that wire mapping, we can go ahead and flush cut with the flush cutters. Now we're ready to pre-insert and terminate the jack. So we want to line up the tab and the latch together. So go ahead and pre-insert them. And to finish the job, you want to use the other side of the termination tool. Which way does it go? You notice there's a groove here that's set for the cable and a step. So go ahead and put the cable in the groove and the jack into the step. Notice one thing I'm doing is I'm opening up this tool more than half, and you want to insert it into the shorter step. Firmly grasp with your thumb and straighten out the tool. Now N2, cable prep is the same. So I want to show you the difference between cable N2 and cable N1. We rotate the cables to match the front of the wire cap, and we see that the brown was in front and the blue is in back when they're on the left. For cable N2, everything is in front. So the key thing here is don't pre-twist the pairs before you insert them. Insert them straight through and then route them later. So as before, we make sure that we have the strain relief collar fully disengaged. We insert 2 pairs in. Give it a slight rotate, pull it down firmly. Notice everything is backwards. And the pair is down. Insert it into the recess in the wire cap into the recess of the tool. Firmly engage the strain relief collar. Straighten out your pairs. Now the key point here is we have to route these wires to their proper locations. How to do that? You want to wrap it in a clockwise rotation around a divider. So we know the blue needs to go to the back and the brown needs to go to the front. Same thing for the other side. Orange goes to the back, green goes to the front. Pull it down over the spike. So notice we did do a clockwise rotation. So next step would be to flush cut these after you check, double check you have brown in the front and blue in the rear as we had before, green in the front and orange in the rear. Flush cut them and you're ready to finish the termination as we did before. Reinsert into the jack, cable into the groove, do the earlier step, click. To unterminate the jack, take your screwdriver, insert it into the tab area, grasp firmly the cable and the jack with one hand, and approach a 90-degree angle while twisting the screwdriver. Pull it apart. Also, use a screwdriver to disengage all the wire pairs. Disengage the strain relief collar all the way up. Pull the wire cap out.